Hey, it's going to be commentary for chapter 44 of my book, Metadimensional, which you can find on Kindle or listen to for free as an audiobook, and links are in the description. So, chapter 44 is called Mind the Private Gap, which is a paraphrase on Mind the Gap, if you know from the London Tube. Anyway, just a word game. So we have a bit of a problem with the blind gap puts us in a bit of a problem, and a lot of people find it very hard to understand what it is and what it's not, and by extension to understand the full extent of their capacity to change reality, especially people that are dealing with spirituality or with the occult or magical thinking. So if I know that it's pretty easy to understand that if I'm going to use the experiential movement of intending to move my arm, it will move my arm. That's not magic. That doesn't feel like magic. That doesn't feel like anything out of the ordinary. It feels just, normal stuff. But I also know that even though I can want to raise my hand, if I'm going to try to raise a weight that is too high, then I won't be able to do that. So I know what experiential movement I need to do to raise my hand, and I know that there's a limit to how much I can lift that way. And now, when you come to the idea that there are other experiential movements that are blind gap, that affect the blind gap, that affect reality not through the wakeful world, not through the laws of nature, the private blind gap. I explained it in the previous video, like in previous commentaries, that there are ways to change reality not through, that there should be ways to change reality not through the laws of nature as the common laws of nature, such as in the case with the placebos, for example. Then we get into a bit of a, people go crazy on that. They think because it's not through the laws of nature, then it's like anything you want, basically. It's like a buffet. If you want something, you get it because you want it. And there's a lot of lore and occult and magic, new age thinking about that is based on that. If you want something, like the secret, if you know what that is, and maybe it was in the past. I don't know how it's manifest today, but that's not how it works. The idea of the private blind gap, the ability to change the laws, change wakeful reality, not through the laws of nature, doesn't mean that you get anything you want. It doesn't mean that there's a necessary correlation between the action you're trying to do, the change you are trying to inflict, and the way to get it. It's just like if you're gonna raise your hand and you're gonna, let's say, break something, you didn't intend to break it, but you break it nonetheless because that's how let's say, if you hit something on the ceiling and you broke it, that's how physics work. That's how the wakeful world works. And the same applies to things that happen not through the laws of nature. They also have laws, and if that's not what you want, it doesn't matter. You don't get the effect that you want. You get the effect that is possible. And in the case of private blind gap, it's the effect that is possible for you and not for anyone else. Now, take for example the case of placebos. You'd think that you believe, what placebos made people believe is that by thinking positive thoughts, or thinking that of a positive outcome, then positive things must happen. Like, this is like positive medicinal or biological or yeah result would happen, and that happens. That works in 50% of the people. Now, question is, what happens with other 50%? Um, so in the 50% that it works, there is some kind of blind gap dynamic that changes, like insofar as this is not just some kind of wakeful dynamic that, let's say, you feel you through positivity you feel better. You let's say you relax your system, your nervous system, and then you get like some benefit. If it's really a placebo, if it's really like something that is all not through the laws of nature, then it works in 50% of the people, and that's fine. But it also doesn't work in the other 50%. And the other 50% doesn't mean that they can't use the blind gap to get the same benefit. It just means that it's not through positive thought, not through the belief that they're going to get better, that they're going to get better. That's the thing that we're missing, because we think that it has to be like that. Once you get out of the laws of nature, then it's a buffet, but it's not. Then once you get out of the laws of nature, then it's the laws that you don't know what they are. The private blind gap, you don't know what it is. It might work like you have like positive thoughts, you get positive results. It might be you think negative results and you get negative thoughts and you get positive results. If that's how your private blind gap is organized, then that's how it would work. Like the private blind gap is just a set of laws of nature. This is not like a laws of nature. It's just a set of laws that your body, the way that it's something about the relation between you and the objective substrate. It doesn't have to correspond with like everything that semantically is, you can think of it as good, is also beneficial. And actually, that if you take, let's say, if you take opiates too much, then you might die. That's definitely not positive, but you feel great, right? And too much sugar, it's tasty, it's great, but it kills you. So, so that none of this should be in dispute. But somehow, when you get to this like outside the laws of nature, it's like anything goes. But it's not. That being said, that doesn't mean that you can't. The fact that it can be inverse to what you assume doesn't mean that you have to give up on that. But it does mean that you probably, if you want to harness that capacity, those capacities of your private laws of nature, you probably want to use some kind of machine learning, some kind of like to sample, to really learn how experiential movements, what experiential movement triggers what benefit. And with the technology we have today, it's possible. And it seems like this might be like a pathway for a new kind of technology. Although there are problems, and the problems lie in the same domain. The inability to distinguish experiential movements properly, like to say, okay, this is an experiential movement. A good experiential movement caused a bad outcome. We don't even understand experiential movements properly. Like if we feel better for some reason, it might be because someone liked us more, and then we have to make them like us more, and that's not our experience. That's not our situation that we're trying to improve. We're trying to improve our situation with someone else. So everything gets messy. But it's still possible. Technically, it could be. It probably should be, and probably will be, a new branch of medicine soon.